Okay.
I spoke with Tom this afternoon, by the way. Really, really scratchy voice and not feeling real good, but he was very accepting of his karma.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Acceptance of karma.
We got a big collective karma here.
Yeah. Just give a shot.
And he doesn't know how he got it either. I
Right.
asked him, and he just went to the grocery store and he had some oil changed, so he didn't do anything risky, and he wears a mask. So it tells you how easy it is to get Omicron.
Yeah.
The infection rate in my world just hit 15% of tests, as compared to 0.5% previously.
DC may be nearing the peak point, which is a bit of good news for us in the DC area.
Ed, good to see you. Katie, good to see you. Michael, Grant, Curtis, Tenzin. Georgie, have you been in touch with Geshe La?
Yes, Geshe responded. He's going to be ready soon.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. So for Indian times, you always have some exception for them.
Yes, it's 5 o'clock in the morning in India for
Yes,
Geshe.
yes.
Yes, so I know the monks generally rise up early, get up early in the morning, but I don't know if this early, if they're prepared for that.
Right.
Hello, Rebecca and Zara. Good to see you.
Hi, Lance.
Hi, Zara. How are you?
I am happy to be here with you all.
Well, good. We're happy to have you.
So is it 5 o'clock? Are they 10 hours off us in India?
Actually, 9.5 hours, I think. It's 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning there.
What city is it near?
Mysore, isn't it? Isn't it near Mysore?
Mysore, correct.
Yeah,
Mysore district.
yeah.
And the place where this monastery is located called Balakopi.
So if y'all want to take notes and if you have questions, hold your questions till the end and we'll try and answer as many questions as we have time for. And if there are questions that don't get brought up, we can write a message to Geshe and have him answer messages through email or something like that. So as soon as he comes on, then we'll begin our opening prayers and continue on with the teaching.
Mhm.
Can we activate the live transcript individually?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, live transcript. I
You need to-
request,
Host enabled.
Yeah, yeah, Michael, I already made you co-host. Just in case there's a problem, and I'm recording.
Okay.
So there'll be closed captioning at the bottom of the screen.
You got it.
Doesn't, it's not set up to translate Tibetan. So it appears as when Tibetan is used, it doesn't, it's nonsensical. But the English is pretty accurate. So, you know, if anybody is recording and saves it, they can just delete out the nonsense part. And then the part that's in English, you can study and good notes.
Okay, very good.
도저히 내 링도 가져래.
rintu chuzu jizire,
어,
chuzu dumpani gupas padche, and the jepas padche, this will be like interactions, question answers. Tigjil.
okay. That's, yeah.
And chin go to sharo chege, ni parul chege, ya parul mani nig tsindu, ya talent about the 3 days nangi de paru lango.
Or, yeah.
But mag temper the test jade the land of which check to.
Yeah. That's all.
To the rain, kinji mare the kanshi.
Okay.
I see the live transcript is trying to translate the Tibetan and
Very
Oh.
interesting.
But I
It makes
how
no
come I don't
sense.
see it?
Can I see it? Where do you see it?
You don't see it on the bottom of your screen?
Oh, I don't see it. It says who sees this transcript?
You have to click
I have to
live
click.
transcript and then click
Oh.
subtitles.
Oh, like, oh, yeah.
View full transcript.
Then show subtitle. Oh, wait. Oh, I see.
Oh, it's on the others. I see like. Oh, it comes on that side. Now I realize. Now I understand.
I see it on the bottom of my screen.
I see on the
Okay.
side.
You can
Okay.
move the window around,
Yeah.
Oh,
the transcript window.
I see.
Okay, well, we're waiting for Geshe La to come online, so
Yep.
should be soon.
Any information about
Let
that?
me just one quick check.
So if everyone will mute their microphones, would be appreciated.
Okay, I resent the Zoom link. He was asking the Zoom link. Okay, it's coming now.
Okay. Oh, there it comes.
Oh,
Good evening, Geshe La. Thank you for joining us again this week.
Just delay.
Thank you, Tasha Delay.
Just delay.
So this is Geshe, Lharampa, Jampa, Choedup, and it's coming from Surya J Monastery in India, in the Mysore region. And Dorji Damdol is his brother and who introduced us to Geshe La. So thank you very much for that. And we have Tenzin, who you might see, there's 2 Tenzins with us this evening, but Tenzin's gentleman is going to be helping with translation if necessary. So Dorji's going to be doing translation and Tenzin may be recording. So if you have questions, like I said, write them down, please, and hold them for the end. And we'll start with our opening prayers. So if you don't mind, I'll recite them in English and Tibetan, and just a few prayers. The altruistic motivation. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang wa je pe dra no pa je pe ge. Tar pa dang tam she ken pe ba du jo pa je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dog now dang drel nor du ma na me pa yang dag par zog pe zhang ju bren po she to pa ja. The action bodhicitta prayer. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deshe du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Tu de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. And the short refuge prayer. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chodang soki chodam la. Shangju bardu dagni kapsuchi. Dagi jinsoki pe sonamgi. Chola penshir sangye jupasho. The four immeasurables. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pe sam chen tam she dewa dang dewe gurdang dempar jorchi. Dug now dang de now gi gu dang drel war jorchi. Dug now me pe dewa dang mi drel war jorchi. Nei ring jag dong ni dong dwell wei tang nam la nei pa jo chi. Thank you all very much for joining us. And now Geshe La will begin talking about the life of the historical Buddha. So thank you, Geshe.
그래서 다시들에 양준이
뭐 저기
드링 도진자도 같은 스케줄 제안하고 지닌다.
라솔라소
아, 그런 것 때문에 모두 나니 다 지그데 순준노야 된 거죠. 저는 이거 넣었습니다.
라솔라소 아 토마텔라 아네 나랑서 참아 하얀 제와데 할레베 가보추무스 아네 대단냠도라 아네 렌슬라네 아네 문에 타네 심제 탄제게 돈도 도스치네 소 말라타는 덤바데 아네 베미시 타가나지게 라운드 베게 말라요스 투지체스.
So firstly, I want to say I'm really happy to be here again. And then also Lance did a great prayer for all sentient beings. And I pray that whatever he prayed, will come true.
어느 나랑서 양절 하얀 좀 받들라 님부 희우여 상사 땡도 수수 되니 됨바치 가인사는 나랑서 참아되네지 나랑서 쌈 다자 좀 바해져 두버서 쌈지에서네 근데 유시부 담바지게 어느 코랑게 어느 직체서 그런 반남 탁골라 어느 나랑서 joining 다 어느 나랑서 조조 신주의 희희도와 조야 된데 그 체도 나랑서라 어느 직데 dwelling in Basунta to need them be dwelling to need them be and it doesn't jump to so much in some sort of those.
I feel this is very meaningful gathering because we are all talking about Buddha's life and we're trying to cultivate good karma. And sorry, Dorji remind me, and that everyone's came together here with a good intention to cultivate. And therefore, I find it's a meaningful gathering.
That's all. And 당한서 삼지근 제바 고송 투송근 제바 옆에나는 안쪽은 제바 주인이도 도스는 도스는 제바 주인이 강을 되네 제는 제바 주인이가 나는 라도 주면 제바세 대연세 받던 제바 준조사 송다들이 제바데 가ring에서는 나랑서 능원에 전에 두종 벤제바 세사테난 레송스
두종 벤제바 라사. So far we had talked about Buddha's deeds.
Bunda no ja de radu chung zepa cherwa na tin de saman this no so cheta duchong ben zepa taran yin tu cheng.
Okay, so we have done so far
Bunda kawaje ben zepa as
kawaje ben zepa kawaje. Okay, kawaje ben zepa karla doje cheti lage
loju kawasen doje den tin roya jiwa karasar.
So up to here, we already talked about until the 6th or out of 12 deeds of Buddha. And today I'm going to start with the 6 years of, I'm not sure what kawache.
Physical penance.
Physical, correct?
Physical penance.
Okay.
Penance or injury, poverty.
Okay, so we're going to start from there today.
Oh, tangi chen dgorwal.
Yeah, Larry.
Laso gunda tangi tis no so. Chezang tangan so rabdo chungwa, rabdo chung ne samji ge muyu de la ko o dirwa, rabdo chunga ge muyu de ya semji gen ge dungye se ya rani ya thatu ge dewaji thoya ge chedola rabdo chung. Ta rabdo chung chawi jela thatu ge deji singe de nan ma chaba baba na gi ta ji san ya nyugo jewa na gi de je me ba song chang ne rani ge kawache go ba de zine an kawache bares
Tombote karse rabdo chung okay.
rabdo chung den jeba tuba de che.
Okay.
And the road to June, Jella Kawache Bares, Takawache at the samje tambo muyu korana ane yendon cheya ta randon tatu ji du ne yendon cheya muyu de yoba songzang ane kawache bare te dukasola jaga nanglola ji ngarang cho luk kawache na taba thogre seya de hebuji daso huchenbo yode wi duche de redwa luk kawache to na taba thogre seya de sada doda inde bi kadutela ane tus kawache jore khas.
So the seventh now is about his austerity, I think. As at that time in India, there was a belief that you could enlighten through physical effort. So that's how he studied to achieve enlightenment. And he knew the enlightenment won't come fall like a rain from the sky. It's something you have to make the effort. And because of at that time, there was belief the physical effort would achieve, bring enlightenment. That's what he studied.
Ane tiduka sola la.
Doji line, last one, la bane. Okay.
So, ane chezang anjo tiduka sola somda nangi cheba ina nimar landru dor re samda chu tipar re chu ne dende chene kawa chene ane kale jabre sene go ting je bom jene go re sene dende songo do ta tisang anjo samna tanda da cheba ina ne dor re da chu tipar re chu ne gu me anjo tachi to le hing mundo de kanda kawa yenda mandawa ji che yo pate sebores.
So it is said that at that time he would only eat 1 grain of whatever the grain is. So only 1 grain and 1 drop of water he would consume. At that time, today it's not clear whether that's exactly, that's literal. We should take as a literal, only take 1 grain. But it's certain that he has made a great effort.
Laso ta tenene chezang tene ke lo tu kawa che ba re de munthune kawa che yo mares samji thu yo mares ane tig kar tengu do sana samji ke luk kawa che ba chibu tige ane chi yang da be tawa dam yang da be lam ta ane pegen dribu ke thatu ke samji ke kumbha se de thop thu me ba de ane chene ane kawa che de cham sha dos.
So like that, he meditated for 6 years and he didn't achieve enlightenment. And what this shows is that physical effort, one cannot obtain enlightenment through physical effort. It has to be, you want to achieve sort of ultimate understanding of the truth, the true natural reality by physical effort.
Ana chezang she luk kawa chibu che ba chige ana ngone thani ngarang so ge sam je se de thatu ge dewa se de thoju me ba ta thatu ge dewa se de thobala zo de kar go du se tu sang ge on de ana rang jula yoding ngoma ne ma khom ding ana nyomo tu sung de pong ge te thabhe de yang da ba ju chogo gu yo ba te ana ngarang so la te du da da de ma so na te te gan dos.
So by understanding that one cannot achieve enlightenment through physical effort, he understood that what we need first to do is to purify the defilements of, like ignorance and so on, that has been cultivated or accumulated for many eons of life during many lifetimes. So I realized the first what we need to do is to purify that.
Ane chezang ngarang cho tanda nganzo suso lo mi phepa ro chi la samno tamba ina tiwa dile sar samsa ting do se tiwa chembo re has de pena lo chu ga namlo la ane ka che dende chi hu chembo de kande si che tu res ane pena nen ru re tang chu nen ru do re ga chu ti bar re dende chue che ne ane chi penel ka chem be chon dende chi ane hin chi za le gu che ne dende da wo che ne ane gom jap che ne kande che ne gu tu re se de tiwa chembo de re has.
So what I find a great question today for us, regular people, is that how could someone meditate for 6 years with only consuming 1 grain each day under a tree?
That's all. And Chezang Samji can say, no, don't go into somebody country over dosana, Tambo Shanchu to Tubjes and Tambo Shanchu, the same JS here. Mida Masuno, Kunhun da Masona, Chagi da Masona, Tambo Shanchu, the same JS here, the has. And the Pado Lekanda of the Masona, Kache Tameson, the Chosa said, Langlapi, Rimbati has. And it Pado Kache Tameson, the Chote Sane, and a Tar Dojitian la Sam JS here, the Sam Jiggins, and I need to don't know the Terek has.
Takachi Tomison society, the Nakaleja, the Tikon Sugar. So the answer is in order to get enlightenment, there are 3 steps one must do. First, one must have cultivated sense of bodhicitta in the mind, determination for freeing all sentient beings. And the second, one must cultivate the
Cumulative virtues language merits.
Yeah, okay. So the second is one must earn the merit and virtues through effort as well. So in order to purify or remove those defilements, one must also endure, physical as well as mental, to purify those. So that's the reason, and then he made an effort. And third, okay, so the third, then you achieve the enlightenment. So those 3 steps.
Chezang Koranzo song de Naranzo Junde to Stin Panrin in Lerwa, Pena Naranzo Sabin Luke, Tene, and Karaserogo. Sabin Hingana, Sabin Palu, Teda Nyamdola, and Chuta Luda Lega de Che, and a Tamitela, and Naranzo Sabin and Debush Tagarwa, Tinanshi, Tambu Kunhung Pa, Dustin, Kunhung of the Masuna, Shamjuk, same day, Che. And a Padula Rani Sanjia, the Langa de la Kali de Jap, and a Tama Sanjis in the Junde or Rimando on the Tundiji Leveres.
So it's like growing grain or barley or whatever. First, you must plant a seed. First, we have to have an intention of planting a seed, and then you planting seed and make effort and water and so on. And then the third is the result. Whatever you planted will grow as a third step. So it won't just happen if you throw a seed. It requires effort to plant and water, and then and then eventually the result will come.
Chezang dende indu zambane chezang kajin bechon che tuyagi jonsen zonda de masuna konrila senhunda de kariyorsena shamchu chodo sem jesene shamchu ku sen jebadi chebares shamchu ku sen now.
Okay, so how could he make the effort? How could he endure that 6 years of such difficult? Is because he had already determined by his sense of compassion, the bodhicitta, that he's determined to free all sentient beings. Such a determination enabled him to endure through hardship and difficulties.
Long Shanchu to same said the same tiang Susok Chedo, Tibo Lagio Mari, Susok Pinja, Nami, Niende, the Lingaranto, Tadak and Zambulin Dinano, Susok Sitan Jorwa, Tende Tanji, Mayin Bachene, Tange, Lensla, the Somba Naki, same day Tamji Sene. When it on the same day Tanji, the Susok Pama Nahi, the Pinja Nahida, Tadak Susok Pama, la Kandeji Zewa Giona, Tendeji, same day Tamji, la Zewa, Dendeji Le Chene, ane tig kangen de seala no samji ko komba thok bug du samsa ge tenda wi logic la ane shamchu ko sem se la whereas.
So the mind of bodhicitta, that's the first step, is what it is called. This is not compassion for yourself or for your relatives or for small member of community. This is a determination to free for all sentient beings under the sky. And with such determination, and then one sort of, promise himself or herself to, like Lance did a prayer earlier, for all sentient beings that he was determined to do this for.
Now, they check Shamchu ko sem se de samno dende chin ba che kunun dende chin ba che ngarang cho ko jula kunun tenda wo de chi chu chang da wo da ni ma re chang da wo dende chi thu ga resna chi thu ga re de sanji ko ju ji Shamchu ko sem ngene se de ta chi che cha shun je lo chuna nyamba me ba nyang kon ne kon do peding e ane te ma che ane ngone ta ne so me ko nyong thön se de chamba ne ane ngarang cho le na samno ya ne ya to ta de go re kon namba cho ina chi che cha de Kone tos chene che chadu ena samno yane ando tamu go nganga hu ke che de tende ke shamchu sem dire de res.
So such sense of compassion we may have some momentarily or one day, but then it changes. For Buddha, such people as a Buddha, their determination for all sentient beings, to free all sentient beings, is so deep that it doesn't change. It's unshakable.
Chezang tende ke kunhong ke chenpo rangda yang ke tön tatu pa dugo samsa ke kunhong ke chenpo tende ji yodu tsamba ne ta kunhong de ngwen ro chati te jela ne le tong tu yo pa te ngarang so chicho na lo lan do du tsamba ne chomba ke chong ke kepen thona kale jap tu go do himba ke hing ke kepen thon 힘가다니 개변 통수나 어느 장하다 지 차와다 된데라 지 문에 전에 돈에 전에 매주 제투고 도와스 근데 인반 충충나 상도단데 근데 인반 나기 삼제게 개변 첨부 된데 지를 쓰이테네 같이 매주 제투와데 아장장다 그래스.
So Buddha, because he has such a motivation, the strong motivation to free all sentient beings, it's similar to people, and within people, somebody who's determined to do business. He realized that he can get profit from business, and they can make effort, and they can endure difficulty. Likewise, farmers who see profit from farming, and they endure difficulties. So for Buddha, because it's in a similar way, but in a larger sense, Buddha saw the need and necessity of freeing all sentient beings, himself as well as others. Therefore, he was determined.
ane tela ngarang cho jaga gi kheba jase chembo hewa lage ngone tane thatu ka samji ka kompa duya la ne chi so ka kajem bechen cheba ina kajem bechen chetu ka rese ya de sho ni ka gon song dos.
So an Indian master, Shantideva, said in 2 ways about how one can endure difficulties. There's two parts.
Tambo samji se de sanje bala tambo rando tashin gu du karse rando gu korsenanda rani ige samji ka sala le go de imba songchang junchen tege chane rando thatu de duyala chedola ane kajem becho chetu ko resne ji songo dos pen cha sha ba ina khande songo dos na ngarang so shicho na lo la ma lan do du zamba ne ngarang to tisan zamba lin de kan ro dang da wo chin na da cheng ma ta khurang khurang so ma ro dang ji sarwa ma do du zamba ne ma la pan ro chi ne ane ma na lo la so ma hi ba che nda dan diun da ji chu po chi ne chu lo yung de zamba ne shicho na lo la nga te du ko so ma chenpo dina la hu ba yin ma chenpo dina la hu ne nga la di chunjan de po so ma dan de yue se ya de so de ne konzo ge ne ji jin de wo ji ji ne ne de ngong so yo ba was.
So the 2 part the Shantideva said, the first one is about your self enlightenment for yourself. And for that, the example is, for example, a soldier, whether it's in the past or present, go to war, and if he got injured but survived, when he come back, he can show off or his bravery or the deeds he did in the war, and such like that. So I'm sure, yeah.
그래서 어느 최종 든디기 나라서 지속의 내단 춘추 든디지랑 나라서 시지 뜻투기나 따지기나 어느 가르세나 타투기 원에 단에 땡근 두마세데 주야라 어느 소속의 동에 뜻에 단에 제야데 가르무투에 가기 쪼이 원에 제투거라세야 대존의 벨링도스.
So such a small achievement for admiration of other people a soldier might do for such a big sacrifice, then the ultimate freedom is indeed worthwhile to make effort.
그래서 어느 최장 다 가와제의 준생님바데 가르세나 어느 연전 편속을 줄여서 다 연전 타투 루바 제발라야 삼지 공부하되 고요레스 삼지 가르세나 다자tom바 무유 코라야 가와제야 연전 타투 루야 무유데 임바 손자 연전 타투 루야라 가와제야 연전 타투 루야라 준 로고요바 손자는 코란가 가와제기요레스.
So the second part is about becoming enlightened for other sentient beings, to serve for other sentient beings, and that for that it required enduring difficulties like Buddha did for 60 years.
특별히 나랑서 디 자세 정보 희월하게 벤스님바데 가르송도 세나 나랑서 냐빠게 냐신도 잠만에 춘장라 지 유름보 지네 국도 스칼레 잡네레 오 니마가 짜게 연하다 장하게 도 가르치고 고 장게 연하다 도 두리잖이 냐신야지 도신 구디야 그 강에 저투도 가스 대나이게 그 나랑서게 지 수소고 나랑서 미지인 사유신체로 수소고 내가고 초그게 체도라 깔리 가리나 잡투고도 와서 시단지 땡땡 로다나히 근데 임바 손자 샘지 탐지게 대화 주야기 지게 체도라 아니 동에서야 돼 가르치는 저 못해요. 저 투그레 삼사 근데 쟤네는 가진 배전데 지겨레스.
So the Shantideva gave this example for the second point is that a fisherman might be sit by river for a long time and waiting to catch a fish, enduring the difficulties, whether it's cold or hot. And when we can do that just to catch a fish, then indeed, if you are trying to free the all sentient beings from suffering, then of course it will enable you to endure difficulties because it's such a bigger, a larger purpose.
최장다 가진 배전인데 제투야 차상의 원인자는 생후 샴추그 샘세 대랑 투디레스 참았.
So the source of that strength to endure difficulty is the compassion, the body, the sense of the mind, bodhicitta mind.
최장다 근데 사람들 담망보 휴무고지 단단하라서 샴추그 샘세데 제야는 원에타네 저와 니제 첨보세야데 요고제 저와 니제 첨보세야데 나랑 주문에 타니 지 나랑 좀 미패반다고 차기하는 수속 파말라 저와 첨보인바다 수속이 남일라 저와 첨보인바다 데니네 수속이 제칸다고다 아니지 수속이 롱센다고다 덴딜레 저와 휴첨보래야지 요르와스 삼제게 저와데 당게게 나랑 좀 샴추그 샘제게 체도라 저와 세게 저와데 덴데게 쇼리당 아니지 자냐 마인바데 마인바 참만 자냐 아니지 꾸나 찹딩게 덴다위게 진송 따딩게 덴다위 저와 침보지레스.
So to develop such compassion, one must have a sense of love. It's not a love that you love your family members, your people from your hometown or your nation. This is for a love for all sentient beings.
Shuri meba tende che tsewa re mato chi ngarang chu ke tsewa de inde sanu tangona chi che nan de cha dan de ngan da nyam don de de ke nenga pe thong dos.
So such love is unbiased. It's great, endless. But our regular love might be biased and also maybe attached to sense of desire and so on.
Lao to che. Ana che zang ta dine ne karasina ngarang so che zang dire kawa che ben se pa sine na kawa che ba de chawa che ana kawa de che chawi je la ta che zang tang ge kon ro hyu ba na gi ngarang so ka che kawa che ben se pa se ti ge lu ge kawa che ba chi bun thig mon tu tang ne ta ne chi nam sem na no la nyu tu song de to ya ge kawa che gu du sam ne ana shang chu hin ru le chu pe ba res.
So after doing the 6 years, this enduring difficulty, he realized this is not the way to achieve the full enlightenment. And in order to achieve enlightenment, I need to work my inner to purify the inner, defilements. And then we went to Bodhi tree.
Lao te che zang ta ngan zo ka jin den de che cheun de zama ne ku zu de so chama de jobo shu chen bo cha so yin sa re ne de ne nga ra so de ne o che sar go o bo mo ji ga ne wo ma phu che ne ku zu de ya she ye be ga ne de de lo ju na no yo res.
So in the history it says through 6 years he became really weak. His physical body was really weak and very thin. And then a girl gave him a milk. And from there, he recovered his physical weakness.
Lao ta che zang ta shang chu ge hin ru le chu pe je ne ane shang chu ge hin ru le gu ba re shang chu ge hin ru le ma gu ne la za zong ne ji ge ane ko na le za din tin ji phu yin sa res ane za din ji ngang le gu yo res.
So on his way to sit under tree at Bodhi tree, he met a person who was selling grass. So he bought a bunch of grass to sit on. So he put that under the tree and he meditated upon.
Chezang nganso desang zambulin ge mege chowa je dang le cheba yina sanje ge dos top de kala chale tanang dang de le da ba ina ku ban da wo yores kan yin sen na chen de ge de ji chama de lue dang tap pe na thana mege la ngarang chon je ba ngwa le sung cha de chama ne ge le chung ko ju ro yin se pa se ya de ne ne khorang ge jasi dang ana chi jebo wang che thombo dang ana no lu lung che ane zumo khoda jeba chasang pang ane tenene pang jene tanda ji loju kawa singin de saya tunga nyunyu jene de kawa je tenene ane jabok phodan jibo tena medewa jene zag den ji kan la de jene ande de top de kala tana cancer das to us.
So if you look through the worldly values, it might seem he was very silly, leaving his king's palace, his wife, everything, and now going under a tree and sitting on a bunch of grass.
Chezang samje ge garab gondo sena nganso ha goya chebaina ngarang chog mulurumbo chesena danjo go mulurumbo chesena meg lu za chenbo de top de la namjue de phusung choba ji ye ta di ye de ya ane pejue de ngone tane mchen de jibo sen de ji ge jibo chedo de ane danjo go mulurumbo che de pejue matang wa chene tangone tane dungel pa tendo thawi de ji ge chedo la ane danjo go mulurumbo che ta shas.
But what Buddha saw was this life, the human life. If we just use this human life for enjoyment and so on, this life, that's a silly choice of human life. And what he saw was to use the human life to achieve ultimate ultimate peace and freedom. And to do that, and he meditated.
대소 참아야 그런 거지 현다지가 question 담지네 현다지가 까 담지네 근데 많이 뭐 코란랑 그 투상 예전에 코란랑 그 냠용고 톤네다 무슨 랑가데 당가 잠조레데레스.
So this was his personal choice. Nobody told him to do that. He voluntarily chose this path.
그래서 제정다 상주의 힘주도 유부체네 땡엔지 공제네 다 레가디 가르치고 그러시나 당원에 자는 나라서 삼세의 제발랑 나라서 단다파도 강에 때딩에 두데레데레스 때임바송다 두종고바데 지테네 두종바레스 두종베 제바시네 고바 안 제바 고바데라 두종베 제바시고레스.
So the ninth deed is called defeating Mara. I'm not sure. I don't know. There are a lot of Dharma terms. So it's a defeating Mara deed, and that's while he was meditating, he realized he need to first defeat the your own Mara.
ane chezangta du chomben zepa se launde chambane ngaranchu du de sore es twada masona du de sore ta ngaranchu ge tanda padu zambalin de kala mi jebo yore lungbo yore pango yore mi ji no lulungche mi randi thasung ba ji yore de so la kangen chamala yungde gore chechuna matebe tende imba sungta ta ngaranchu ngone kange zo de du ndo de sore do dawda de sore do se de nganso twa.
So the question is, who is Mara? In the world, we all face difficulties. We have, enemies and so on. But who is real enemy or the Mara? And that's the question.
ane tende ching munzi chetang dawa tama suna shilo ni tsu kanzan dawa chi xena chabon dawa chi tang dra se du tsama ni suso le tsewar chingi ke menda ki ndong ki o ta tende ke chik so dya le tende dawa chi tang munzi chi ba to chi ke dra se ya de ngwene ke dra de kare ime de nganzo munzi che hingo ma res.
We are usually we mistake what the enemy or what Mara is. We assume it's an external thing. There is an enemy, is the external enemy, is somebody who comes to us with the weapons and attack us with weapons. We forget what the real enemy or real Mara is.
이나야 장문에데 ngarancho 첸데 짬마인 바다 체르 nga만에 단다니 심마 아나파 림베 긴도 드라제딩네 다 상노 로바탄데 상노 로바데소랑 레디어 상고두스.
So for this life, one lifetime, the enemy might be somebody else who try to harm you or to hurt you. But the ultimate enemy is the one who has from the beginning to continue for many lives to give you false perception.
제장 데데 인도 잠반에 다 제장 삼제게 가르 둥마데 시탄 되든 제나 나노나 나란서 빠리게 된데게 제나 나노나 반 제와이나 두시드 잠반에 지 체와지 딩에 지 동바데소에 지 하나 차보 여댕게 은진다단 동도 키딩에 된데지 나란서 빠나노로 파 펜션 된데 뜬거 요레스 이나 조거데 삼제게 둥은지 제단데 바로 미 간사지 자레기 하나야 자데 간사데 많이 봐 간사데 나오노게 너무 도송이 받은 건지 지겨레스.
So when we teach Buddhism, we might see the paintings. In the paintings, you see physical, this wrathful. To portray Mara, you might see wrathful beings with weapons, spears. But actually, the real enemy is the one inside each individual.
ane chezang tanda ngarang cho darang sala gyudengi ke ane changwe tali lama karo sungu yore sena zambulin de kanang la ta chi lumba chi ki sa suso lumba top chewa ke chungwa sa me chi top chewa ke chungwa la thushe tangde de so changma de ge ane dawunda bo de kande chi sam tang do sena thusang yege do sena ane paru po teke ane jula yote be nyomu teke korang su nyomba da suyo nyomba suyo chene ane teke nyok chen chene ane koki shawa de zangwe ba sung zang zawo ngoma de korang jula ane lamdo ke ne mehinge ke ane tenda weke ane sango de solang wenzi chen ruku dus.
So like His Holiness the Dalai Lama who lives in Dharamsala, he considers that the problems in the world where more powerful nations would invade and take over smaller nations, and more powerful people make abusement of weaker people and so on. But who's doing that is not necessarily that person, but the person's mind, falsely controlled mind.
ane pena jana kongche ke nganzo ke pyo ke sa de zingzong che pyo na lo chulo da de so chama deba rangwa de so tohi tang yung de jawaram bo shi ke myolang de kar jabara sena ane nyomu denji nyobe lamjo je rangi nipon jebe ninji yo slane korang so kansa de dra ngwe manze ba che kansa de so go julo yo de nyomu du song de ke ane korang so nyomba nyomba sewa na shi di kuno dige ane randa yen chama phuna jongi ke leka de tong ba sonda da konso pe de paninji yonda wo de ngwenzi chi dos.
So for example, when the Chinese Communist Party invaded Tibet and took over Tibet, Dalai Lama wrote a prayer. In that prayer, he didn't consider the Chinese people as to blame. He considered the three poisons in the three mental poisons that misled people as the fault, to blame.
제가 랑예니 니지 무슨 지역처나 람도르 미 용토 샴전자에 벨라 조르세드 자만 콘조 단다 녀몽 그 감제네 상에데 장데 두스 아네다 림베긴도 코랑게 아네 코랑조 아네 람파 파 출랑고야 데 가리임에 파 도고야 데 가리임에 게 된다위 미데 코랑조 줄라 헤르데 코랑조 줄라 제제네
and then he wrote a prayer for that, is may they achieve the eyes of wisdom. Through that they would realize the importance of a sense of compassion, the love of compassion, and may they ultimately obtain sense of love and compassion through the eye of wisdom.
제가 나랑저 디사 미 페바다 오지나 수소초 자도 당원다 왔다 수소초 냐전다 전부 해서나 파소지마도 자마토나 제가 탑시해야 되러와스 이나양 나랑저 제와 생에 당 상주가 샘생에 도서로 휴침보 공상에 밑에 속에 판내 로당데 된데 자원이네 레멘두스.
So as an average people, like if somebody attack us, our automatic response is to attack back, or even if you can bite them. If you don't have anything else to do, you might even try to bite them. But the response from the compassionate people like His Holiness Dalai Lama is completely different.
제가 때 나랑저 산호직 담바이나 대소 원에 전에 링랑칸에 소소그 전생간에 산호 담바이나 다가랑 콘조그 소야 돼 레데요레스 베나 차샤바이나 간저 지삼 잠불인데 가라 차샤바이나 나랑저 단다고데 내양데 레데도아스 데 내양데 용당의 산호 담바이나 지금 미기 문에 다네게 지 강준의 선조지 인바이는 공문에 다네 상long 년바 디그랑 중조를 해야 왔어.
So the enemy we consider today in the world is the coronavirus. What is coronavirus? If, let's say, if it was produced by people, and then it didn't come by itself, it came from the bad intention of people.
제장 나랑저 내양디 쟁의 천차 도서 고주 전조를 해게 도서 다 쟁의 천차 고주 전에 도서 전에 무엇이 저철라 도서 다운조다 진바이나나 다 밑에 문에 단계 정거는 거지 손바 남기 아니 녀묵다 빠데 나랑저 차담 몽송고 파 녀진에 내가 전조다 진바다 다 세버려도 왔어.
Also, but some people claim that this virus is produced by people as a biological weapon, and if that's so, then it would be definitely that person who would create such a thing is a subject of the prayers of His Holiness Dalai Lama that we talked about previously, and that in people who lack the understanding of the lake of the eye of wisdom.
제장다 진짜 제운데 잠만에 나랑 저게 강에 참마대 샤주지게 제를 용거열에 샤주대야 저남 생그 군노지게 제고산에 도스렘혀를 군노되게야 사모데 담보 다운데 아니 라니그 단다 첨보지 두야 란 수수지 반지야 된대지 토네 레운데 잠만에 다 더웅어마데 남생나는도스.
So every deed has to come through action as well as intention, and those intention and action that comes from a person's mind, and therefore it's the most important thing is the inner mind.
ana samje ke anan do nang lo khara song yer sena ana sen dana da chen te le gembe dame to oslane ta dramune tane te nam sen nang lo nan do os dra che khyu te re kha sene sanje ke ta ran nyam nyok thon song yer es.
After enlightened, Buddha said in the sutra that the true enemy is your own mind, and that Buddha said that, with his own experience.
Ta chezang ta samji ge dus chene nyamnyo chene song jo tege ane jaga dang pyopa kidu nang ge dus rimba gindo lojong chene ta hienwa sebo de karachayo resena ngarang cho dawo hedam de la no nyomo dus som la ngenzi chebare sen da cha da hedam da tumusin.
So with the teachings of Buddha, there was in India, and then they came to Tibet, and they determined that the true enemy is the three mental poisons, right? Like desire, attachment, anger, so.
Ane shitan dawo de la ngarang cho ge nang seng ge dawo de la yang do pa che ge na ta nyumu mangbu hiu zi ye res. So this these three
enemy has many sort of the sub branches or sub categories, but if we can control those three, then others ultimately will be subdued.
대상한테 때문 나노라 마가 나노라 도스 마자 단다 다데와이나 둔 던치는 멘다킨이 죽딩이가 아네테 자워틴 자워도시네 아네 해당싱에데 카투랑 방아랑초 수소이나 티보 메바 쇠딩에 메신다이나 티보 메바 쇠딩에 수소고 따지 차산 티보 메바 쇠딩게 다 자우 카투나오지 채와진이 던딩에데 해당다고 통고도스.
And the immediate enemy of those three is the anger. It's like if there's a war, a soldier might be running in front of everybody else with the weapons. He was the ultimate he is immediate. Is immediate the enemy of the other person, other opponents. Like that, within those three enemies, mental enemies, the anger is the immediate one.
제가 해담 생에 되게 나랑속에 수소 집어매봐 수소 컨트롤 왔다 해담 컨트롤 집바래 수소 집어매봐 예 집어매봐 지 칼라지 사주 잠만에 컨트롤 랑수는 칼라 참아 인체로 좋아매봐 차노여 버디 나랑수 참아 세보하고 요레스.
So we all know the anger, when anger arises, it takes away peace of your own peace as well as everybody else around you.
대나식 나랑수 투도로 시 땅거연한다 지금 근데 지금 종종도 지금연한다 뒤나노나 미치게 네 해당 잡보지 땡치네 근데 시바이나 지 추용 그 차네 집어매봐 쇠샤데 나랑수 참아겠다 지 통대다 하고 되더라스.
And it's something we all know that if and at a party, if everyone came to try to enjoy, and if one person has a lot of anger, show a lot of anger, then everybody suffers.
안에 제가 해당 두산이 시바이는 잠물인데 강랑랑서 제가 평소 지지를 마저에 제대하다 안에 대 민비게 진가랑서 뭐서 자주 제대한다고다 나랑서
So the anger causes war that we see in the world between nations, and anger is also a cause of every types of violence.
제단다 샤주 참아 샤주 주부도서 참아 해당 그 용거여 봐선다 타두사데 자와데 마소나 해당을 투데레스.
So because there's many source of the unhappiness is from anger, the anger is one of the main source of main enemies.
라서 안에 제장다 데네닝 아랑서 더원님 반다고 때란 더찰러비레스 더찰러야 된 만초고 통치 제바이나 간데로시 통고도세나 공문에 단에게 해당된 눈을 된딩의 그 저어대체 마다 때문에나로 빼샤바이나 더차생에 된 눈을 덤바마인 버체 저로를 두스지디 이네 자마 잡딩이 콜로 두스멘다 자딩이라고 통고도스.
And the other one is the desire, the one of the three enemies, the mental, what do you call it? I think people call it the different names. So mental poison or whatever, the enemy is a desire. A desire, unlike anger, who comes in front, a desire hides behind, and sort of doing things, harming others without showing itself.
제가 네게 다차싱에 코 자만다고지 가르치는 라고요 슬라바이나 코콜 이드그레스 코 간초기 다차딩 외시야라 백깔렌두스 다차딩 외시야라 깔렌두스 콘트롤싱에 간초는 외시야라 깔레 대상라문두스.
Because desire is hiding, it's harder to identify or detect, more harder than detecting anger. Anger is easy to detect.
제가 더차싱에 뜻은 더감싱에 되게 나랑초를 토득할 안데 따도 나랑초를 야보치기 여기서라 나랑초가 거든지 누구 여기서라 지 잘한다고 지 이나래 지 인에도 와라 지 수소로 코그 가려야지 딜라 지 수소로 누구 여반다고 지 산노 된데도 지 그래서 토득할 따바이나.
If you look at desire without clear sort of judgment, we might see it's a necessity for surviving. For example, if you want something, you see something, an object, or your desire tells you that you want this, and so on.
제가 땡이 때는 병암생에 또단 저샤생에 나랑 그 통솔을 제바이나 벤천지 휴바이나 담보 샤사가 두스 병암게 샤사가도 데네네 샤사와 짬마인 밤 부신인체 직사린 직간지 면조 같은데 춘주 부신인체 Sandugudus, Tenene, Hinjo de Sawa Mate, and a Sambo Mahingele Chichi to try your Nini, try your land, Sambo in Chetus in Mahingele and the Sandugudus, Tenene Anchi on the Tanam, Butromatic, Semji, Tundo in Chemase, and a Miki Shasa Le, Tendepa the legend to us, to so Samat and Dongang Chikores.
So the desire has no end. If you allowing, if you follow it, if you allowing to continue. For example, like people eat meat, and eventually they eat smaller animals like fish, and they eventually they start eating insects and so on. They keep, there's no end for it. There's no sense of satisfaction. It continues. It's endless.
Now, Chesante Charanzo and the Jite Minanaloina Sebore Susoge, Zasang Parainayan, Danga Cheta Vichenge, Sasang Kanto Mambon Royata, Satan Nanola, Nechi, Mantumbatan Nami, Pena Puchatawatan Susotendina, Cutting Road de Guetta, so Samatin, Dangang Gueris.
In the lay people's world, we can see that as well. And for example, marriage, people fall in love and get married, and when you don't control the desire, ultimately cause then divorce and cause kids suffer.
Koyu re, koyu tohi tanya re, ane jeka chiki chila zenzu chene, ane chik suso go manan rongi te sola, kange tego ra pakyo te sola ya, chi ma japsa te la kange hyu chenpo ta darshi hyu chenpo yunde ya chama te, suso ge jeka tang chi chi me chi te, hewo chi ya yaje tango samne, tende kun donga chamba ka toni yungo res.
So because of this such desire, we cause the environmental destruction. And as well as in human society, for example, the countries go on for war, and they want their own country to be more powerful, and that's also driven by desire.
Tende imba sonzam dangam singe de ko ngene tane top de kala ta tanda du ding sondo jalo ni ngene tane tanda du ya ge chabla ram da yen chama de pha chado tange ge tende ge jalo de ding in jama da chikpa chichang ji res.
So it is like soldiers who would attack, ambush, hiding and then attack, and ultimately they will cause damage yourself as well as others.
Cheza nganzo lang nganzo mangbo chige ndangang ta susogun depa ge jela hyu chembo hyu jugu res depa ge jela juya tela ya che tata remba che re ndo mundo tai pe ke chembo re mato ndangang ge jela juti khita ba ina ndangang namgi jela jupa ina susog tata ngom de ya chi ta ndangang namgi du thu ya chi tsawani ne yumsi pares.
So the desire, we all have it, and it looks like we need it, it's necessity. But the most important thing is to watch where it's going. If you follow it wherever it goes, there's no end. There's never end. So while there's a desire, you have to watch, see how far it is going.
Cheta ngaran choge kibate choge pe kandelen yore sena Dacha singe de lensa gi chutumba nangi res lensa gi chu singe de kachu tumba ina kakonya jima do kakom se yo mares den nangi ke dengala de kom se tuye ge tanda chune yosi khura mares.
So the the scholars have given examples of as a desire as a salty water or the ocean water with a lot of salt. It doesn't matter how much you drink; it would never, never enough to what do you call the conch, your sense of thirsty, because you get more and more thirsty because it's salty water.
Oh yeah, that the nene ngaram so tumu se de gol higi o somebody tumu se de.
The third is about ignorance.
ane temu se de kandajin duks lawa ina temu se de ngarang so ko jula yawa karin duwa karin che goba de karin che mugoba de karin hi mujunge de gogo taninge de temu de rehas.
So Timuk, the ignorance is the one who covers, who blinds us to see what's right, what's wrong, and it misleads us all the time.
Ngarang chok sem ke lene ke langdon je bala sen yawa de ya jewa je bala de je ma ju wa je ning gogo tang che ne sen lo bala thi ding ta drip ding da wo de to sin ne te tumu de de asta.
As we take good things and sort of get rid of bad things, like even if it's a habit, for example, and we don't know that because of the ignorance. Ignorance doesn't allow us to see that.
Nganzo ndo cha ngo ya bo hian da kong zhong ngo ya bo hian ba ji zhong ba ina koni ke muyu dang koni ke xie dang zo ya bo ngo ji hian ba ina nganzo kong zhong ge jie le zao ni du gu ma re is ben ngarang zo ndu le me ji dang ji ne la pa du xin ni de gang la ya ding ngarang zo mi yo ma ro kan yi se ne ko la pa de du cha gu yo ba de ha gu yo ro ta ina yang ngarang zo ndo cha da kong zhong ni ge jie ndo ne ngang cha ge dan da pa do le ka jie de ya de.
So if we do understand the desire, the nature of desire and the anger, and then we won't follow it, as far as they will take us. But because of the ignorance, we are unable to see them. So example, if you knew something, if you see a fire, you won't put your hand on it because you can feel it's burning you. But if you can't sense that it's burning you, then you might keep your hand in there. So that's called ignorance. That's one that blinds us to see what's right, what's wrong.
Ta tene ngarang so che chang ta ngone ke dawo de nang rang yo ba de ta dus tin hinju ya po je we na so da so yin na se po kale ran chue de yon jo re den du la ane te ma se ngang so ngone thane o ngwen ke jaga ke she chen tam ba tang pe ke she chen tam ba de so da ja tom ba ke ma lam twen gen jo de la jam che ne ane khran so la ran chu kar chung gen du se na ran chue de ne ti ngone thane ke dawo de nang dawo ta ane ti rang ke ju ji sen do go de jam ja song gen du.
So if we investigate inside, we do find those are the true enemy. And that's also, both Indian masters as well as Tibetan masters have recognized that real true enemy is within yourself.
Chetang tanga deni ti khya kar yo sana. Ngarang zo nang dawo nyomu tu sung se ya de khate jo tang khopa ji thaju tang ya jo ro thaju tang de tang ngarang zo zambuling de tisang ane so ge jekha so ta mi so ge dawo ngenji che de dawo thaju tang da de ped lo khare hyas.
So to defeat the enemy within you, the method how to defeat the enemy within you and the method how you defeat the external enemies in the world are completely different.
Ngarang zo nang dawo nyomo tu song se de thadu lo junsen yonge ge shamba da ninje da hero la so ba de la kom che ne komphe don do ne nang dawo nyomo tu song se ne de thadu je tang tu ba ina ane chu yong ya se de chun ma si ba re ya se de ne endo pe de dawo le thani de ji thoya de re has.
So our enemy within us can be removed by cultivating love and compassion and wisdom. And once you achieve that, that enemy will never come back. It's gone forever.
Na ane che zang de sang ngarang zo gen zambuling na dawo se he de dawo de kan de se na ta zui ten ji dang tu ba yin na yang ane pa kyo de zo ge sen la kun zi de nya che ne yang ta phi 요거 자두가 소소 톱제야다 천차다 등이 아마 특히 제제는 난 휴마 주 큰레로데데 용되는 거스.
But in the world, worldly enemies, if one nation defeats to another, ultimately the other one will find a way to attack back. So it's endless.
근데 인도 잠만에 나랑서 대상 더 응지 진에 더 잠에서 단데 템포 추는 면적 잠에서 단데 레디오레스티 빼다 제바데 아니 자가가 개바 자세 전부 효과락 송연도스.
So the way we try to defeat the enemies in the world, the worldly enemy, there's no guarantee that you can get rid of your enemy, which is mentioned by the Shantideva, an Indian master.
아니 가르쳐고 당연히 뒤에서 가르쳐나 아니 자디 뒤에 좀 차이 제라 나 삼제게네 샴주 힘로도 다 도스전에 주동제제네 도스전 냠바야제네 삼제바레스.
So by defeating such an enemy, and the Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree, and he achieved enlightenment.
다 원래 전에 너무 두손 세한다부터 난그 더워도 매바이나 다 원래 전에 전 참아 삼바리라 대 참아데 상야데야 헤르기도 삼바임바 손자 코란에 연대 참아데 토버레스다.
So once you defeat the inner enemies, and then you automatically obtain all virtues, because you do get rid of the inner enemy through wisdom. That means once it's gone, then you are full of you achieve the ultimate virtues.
아니 제장건조 단다 디레하스 다 주지바데 아니 상제 차위 제라 아니 상제 원에 단에 도자라마 다 람트엔체야 충고 코르스야 디레하스.
So the 11th deed of Buddha is after he became enlightened, he turned the wheel of Dharma.
상제 그 충고 코르야 대야 무유코랑 아니 제 담보 연된체야 겐게 직 타투게 대화 두야 대체도래 마도 지게 나랑서 지 소소 게 개편다고 지 대화라 지 라찬다고 라야다 체냐다 제한다고 된데 자원이네 레멘두스.
So Buddha's motivation to teach was to help other sentient beings free from suffering. It's not for his personal gain or to gain reputation or get benefits either way.
그 케바 장군 라마게 네 다자 덤바게 능원에 자네게 송 가르세로 마송 코란 거송 대쪽에 다자 덤바가 럽자 차상데 코란을 쳐 라지네 다자 덤바라 아니 야떠바라지 피디 가르푼도서나 체랑 그 강송바다 체랑 그 차례 강남바디 상마 아니 존세네 아니 땡진 대원주원이 비 존세 대존이 제견도스 아니 뭐유는 아니 semje kandeji yodojo ana pa thatu ge dewa duya ge chedu tende chene chegen dos tende yimba sungdong te charang kadi chibu hiore hasene jonten tende kona pa dewa phu has.
So the Lama Tsongkhapa, after understanding fully about Buddha, he praised him, and the Buddha's his way, his method was the interdependent, the interdependent, and then his purpose, ultimate purpose, was to
소야 대야 아니 샘제 탐지 타투 디지 두야 코나가 체도 마도지게 아니 연다미 무세
Okay, and then his ultimate his real purpose, ultimate purpose is to help all sentient beings to achieve ultimate freedom, and there's no other purpose that he has.
뭐 근데 그거는 다 다자 덤발라 네 저랑 가진 친구 인생을 떠라 당겨 주래 하스.
And Lama Tsongkhapa praised him. Because of that, you are very kind.
최장 안에 된데 인도 나랑 좀 제바 참아 개침보 희월에 해 삼지긴 제바 이나야 단다 나랑 좀 원에 전에 희차보진의 삼노 땅에다 로종 징에다 상지 코란 나희진의 나랑 줘야 람드에진의 준 참아 세궁의 미지 인바이나 땅 나랑 좀 제바 참아나니 송의 제바데 자치 개체회의 인사레스.
So all 12 deeds of Buddha are very important to us. But I think, most important thing is the teaching, his teaching, because through his teaching, we also can follow his path.
안에 주인이 받은 나랑 저 안에 내 나랑 수대서 내 제벌지 nen쇼지대 장초 중세야 되나 안에 고냥을 대변 제벌지 덤바레스 타마들.
So the 12th is 12th deed of Buddha is passing away in a place called Zanchotung.
Shetan Samjela Nancho Dusene, Lojong Che, Hindu Che, Dus Che Chebaina, Samje Sea de Langaran Sochi, Hiwatan, Nawatan, Sawandawatan, and a Tendik Dunge Saris and a Zawanini Samaris. Many Yunaya, Naranchola, and a Zanchotuna, and a Dusine, here the Dus Chivigans about Dunade. Konyangel and Depins, but the Karachin Tomba Lavana Naranso Samalata, Naranso Sama Meta Baridas, Naranso Sama de Sunny Degre, Nani Degre, Sunning onto 30 Chanjan, send the Cheto, 30 Chanjan Chedigora, Tende Imbason, Tende 30 Chejumendu, Naranso Supon, the Tembo came and does, Debi Ringala, and the Supon take it, Tanda Chimboji do to a Chego to Sun, Tende, the Wachigo turning Arantola, Yangel and Depins, Abasia, to enjoy a house.
So the 12th deed was done because, not because the Buddha, once you become enlightened, you suffer from pain and sicknesses and death. He did it to show us that life is impermanent, and that we should know that we should not make plans for a long time and believing that we're not going to die until many years. So the death is impermanent. It could be in any day, and so Buddha is reminding us that ultimately everyone dies, and that death is impermanent.
Lasso, ane ta ngazo nedrin to shoot.
Death is not impermanent. So death is like you never know when it comes. I guess if I say death is impermanent, that probably means I don't know. My English is not that good, but it probably means maybe it doesn't serve the message. I don't know. But the point is that Buddha is showing that death could come any moment, and everyone will die. Therefore, we should, prepare for that. Listen.
Lasso, ane ta samjigin zeba juini de chesaru hila ma hilan do in the nation sa ya ge tirin to chele de this manda inside gonda is.
So that is a sort of brief about Buddha's 12 deeds, and I just said a few things. I might have taken too much time today, and I'm sorry for that.
Ane nge rewa ta muyunda ta masuna ngaranso chuso ko muywe ta garare sangudo ane chi ngaranso ke samjigin seba tela tus chene chi jaya the ngaranso chi ke simju shishi towa yuya chi ta ini chi ja chesan hi ba na chamchu ke sim la ya rimbe ya tus le tuya chi ta ane chi te ta majun ne ngaranso sam sim shishi towa ta dende yuya la na so chama ki chi.
And my intention and prayer is, which is shared by the Dharma Center, is that to everyone through Buddha's teaching, through Buddha's steps, that everyone receive a peace of mind, and ultimately, eventually, the compassion, this bodhicitta. But even even in just day-to-day life, some sense of peace of mind.
That's one to what Geshe to say landscape to touch us.
And Lance, if we still have time, we can ask, you can ask some questions, but you decide.
Yes, thank you very much, Geshe. Thank you very much, Tenzin, for your wonderful translation. Thank you. So please, let's have questions. And if anybody has any comments that you'd like to make, please just raise your hand so that we can call on you and not be rude. So please think a moment and bring up your questions. Yes, Dorji.
Lance, I have a quick question. So Buddha was born in Nepal or in India? Because I hear two different versions of his birth. Was it in Nepal or in India? Because the followers, Nepalis, are angry when people say it was born in India, but India said it was born in India. So if Geshe has any kind of perspective on it, or through his research or understanding, the birthplace of Buddha, was it indeed belongs to Nepal at that time, or it was belongs to India?
Yeah, thank you, Dorji. Jito da sonjin chosa ti bayu le chunga sange jito jagan chunga sange nyin do sirwa. Ani on chungi ka la sacha ti bayu sacha ri ton jagak sacha ri chi karan chi chong.
Chetan di sacha ke kecha hindu tsamba nge sebo jila hing mes. Yina ya tisang yongda da chepa na lumbi ne siya te peyu ke sacha ri imba ti munzi chi dus. Ane chetan ngaran cho samji ken zena jange chila sam tamba ina chetan khori ke chunyu jejo je da ke chembo re de kawa chun da man chun de ngan chula ke chembo hyoji chago yo mares. Yina ya ngaran cho lumbi ne te payu ke sacha imba ina ya sanji payu imbi ke junse he thug mares. Pel cha sha ba ina jaga ke mese imba ina ya 지금 맨칸다 튠지 상와다 와다 근데 제네 지 보고 아리를 제가 로고 두었어 대 남시 그 대두가서로 용조만 한지 때 코란 도스 제네 아니 유종도 왔다 사자 신달로 도스 파 펜조레 하세 아니 사자 페게데 아니 lumbine세 때와 레드 자만은 튠조 된데 하스 코란 아마디단 빨라니가 자가 임바 세보 세장레스.
So because it's a territorial question, I really don't know much about it, but in a Buddhist story, it says that he was India, he was Indian, and it could be that when he was born, his parents might have traveled to go to a place that happened to be a part of Nepal, but it's a certain that his parents were Indians.
I think it's a question, a political question, in that Nepal became an independent nation at some point, and Lumbini was the birthplace of the Buddha, which was in India at that time, but now is in Nepal because that territory became Nepal, became a kingdom of Nepal. So both answers are right.
Okay. Koroglana da Jesu ne bayu de ronze tunjo rindos. Muma sonje tumikala lumbini de jak sajarindos.
Someone else have a question? Let me ask everybody this question, and maybe it'll spark another question for Geshe, and that is, did you make the connection that when the Buddha was sitting under the tree of enlightenment, the Bodhi tree, it was then that the three demons, the three Maras, came up? and the demon of ignorance, the demon of desire, and the demon of anger or hatred came up to him. So did you make that connection that that's what was happening there?
Thank you. That I think that made it more clear.
So are you talking a real physical form? So it appears in real physical form in those three maras or the evils?
That's a question for Geshe.
I think you already answered that. No? So till out that sonje ke tanda karase kurta du nyumo tonso ke du de ne kongo jate bekala don yu de chi namba chi zubu namba toni chi don yu re kanris.
Kanris ngo yanjo chi sonda.
Ta nyumo tonso de tanda te sonje la ta du ke tan chi karase kure dadan sonda de jaya ke ta lujino yorwa. Tamachi sonsa so ta ina tati zo de nyumo tonso ina nyumo tonso de ya karasi gore ya de kon ya ton yu bikala chi gu zuk toni ton yu bare ba kana res zukchen toni
no shitang rang to du chong ben ze ba se sa de sonsa de khatu de la shig kanza rang ngarang to mi rang nyumu gu nyu che ne sanje ge ne yonden phyusung so ba de je gom de khatu de la ana chado dang dende ge ngaje dang dende ge mazo che ne nyoba jenge ji le yoba dende ngunzi chi ge dos control le de koran so ge ji kansa koran drang ngunzi chi ge mando kansa ge nyumu de kansa de nyo chu che ne ana dos che ne ana dalle ba ngunzi chi dang ane dati le du tamba ne samje ge shamba dang zewa dang nije to so gom che ne ane pa ramyi ke pa du ne pa to so ranil la chu mo chu wa ta konso ka ranyi kha jingbo cha ne ane pa tu se ne me ba cha ro ya de nam ta na la se bo yo res
ane te chi ki so da chilo kong ke de nyumo to so de kong ke nyumo to so mai ba jen ke sumo ra jen ke
re de ai yen ge nyumo to so de ta ga ran la ne zo samje ge ranju ge nyumo to so de chom je ne sa je ba re ta de se bo re.
So there's a the truth is we're talking about his own the three poisons of his own, but some way of teaching is they talk about as a physical beings who are also the representative of these three poisons, and they appear him attacking him. So there's a way of teaching like that, but ultimately what we're talking about is his own, anger, ignorance, and desire.
I have a question for Geshe La.
Sorry.
Yes, Curtis.
The 12 deeds of the Buddha, is there any serious difference of opinion between the Theravada and the Mahayana and the Vajrayana about the 12 deeds?
This is the Sonjik Zepa Chunji, shows the Karasiku, Nonjuk Nolone, Tingme, or Tikchi Yamana, Sangak Song Noni, Shoton Mandava Yorves, Munzi Mandava Yorves.
The teaching Timinic Sondan de Pedro Harehas. And the teaching saying it and then Doshol gets at the Higosra. And then Chezan teaching Timinic and Timic Sondan Chepaina. Du Chumben Zepa Sia Serva, Du Chumben Zepa Sia Tin Zepa good day, Shanchu Simben Zepa, Shanchu Simben Zepa Silound, Tambon San Jason, Sentinela, and a Midamasona, and the Indigen and the Chewuras and a chicken number Sama Bang, Munesu Koran Rana, Sanji Koran Aranzo Tandan, Zambun din de la pepe ki shepo tamba jiga nanta nangshi jine dendeng wenzi jiga dos.
So there's a difference between Mahayana in the sense of Mahayana, not Tantrayana, but Mahayana and what's the other one? Theravada. There is a difference. And Theravada, the number 9th, the defeating Mara, they don't talk that way. They say it's the deed of achieving the bodhicitta, compassion.
Ane tene ngarang cho chupa sanji ben zeba da juji ba chungko ko ben zeba da juni ba kunyang len de ben zeba se de ane sanji chane ane zeba sanji chane to sin zeba de rehas.
So the 12th, 11th, 10th and 12th and 11th, so 10th, 11th and 12th, these are these that it's after his enlightenment.
Ane ngarang cho teaching to so kara songo do sena samji gen zeba juni matu ngwen ne sanji ga kaw shangchu cho to tu je ka chen tame song do so sa sanji chane ta duja de so la ruwi tön che ge che do la ane zambulin de la pene konang ge shichu ga number go ne ngarang cho ya thi tang ga number do tön jo tende chung ngi chi dos.
So in Theravada, they talked that way. So it's as a Buddha, as just a regular human being. But in Mahayana, they believe that Buddha was actually already enlightened for many through the deeds of eons of lives, and he was already enlightened. But he came to this world and did this 12 deeds just to show that we also can become enlightened, and just to show us steps to follow him.
Ane te indu che zang zo teaching go song dang de la nang xin che bai na kan den du sen na ngarang chu te sam ge ge zambo dang pama zambo de so ge su so ge nam ju ge shera yong su zo ban da wo ji cham che ne bu gu la lang den che du zam ba ne ji yang ko gab da du da bu gu ge jong lang la ta ge che ne ko che dang ji yor wa ta din nang hin che ne sang ji gen ze ba ju ne de den de da wo ji sanji koran san je chanen zeba chachang de ne san je chawi je la doji gen rodang da tumbi ge tone dos jene ne denjo da jing dos song dos.
So in Mahayana, it talks about Buddha as an example, as a teacher who is already trained to be teacher. But when he comes to school, he teach to kids with examples, showing examples step by step. He can't just give every knowledge at once. So it's that way. He was, although he was already enlightened, he came to teach us.
Ane chezan ta kongri ge song ba nan shi jene ngarang chon do sho da nga sho song ro ta nga sho na lo nan ze ba juni se mi se lo kha de song ge me na yang sang je tang ge rim ba de sang je chu de yang do sho da nga sho ni da him dos.
So in a Tantrayana, they don't really talk about the 12 deeds, and the way he was enlightened is a little different between Mahayana and Tantrayana.
La song.
Geshe,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
So I always wonder, like, when they say Buddha touched right hand on the earth, I sometimes wonder, like, so I want to ask him about that. Why he had to do that and what that means. And then need to watch him. Sonji ge ta tin sonji de ta duk de cha yepa sal ma to sonai jorwa. Cha yepa sal to ne din sai la mo ge garse ta chi sonji se na tin ngi yapun de mi chi te konda cha de sal ma to go yate jumsen no kar to ina sam.
Thing se bu himasa te chen to wat chen de song hyun ngi ya bu himasa.
Ale las yeah.
Unda.
Yeah. Okay, we are good.
What was the answer?
Well, he it's not, my question was not so clear. That's okay. Yeah.
I would like to.
Lens may have the answer for that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know that it's a good answer, but my understanding was that Shakyamuni Buddha, by his right hand being on the earth, he's saying, here I am on the earth and I'm everywhere at the same time. There's no time, there's no other place other than this. The time goes away. I'm omnipresent. I'm everywhere as I am here. That was my understanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lens la karasong hindu.
거기 다 손제 그 참바 살도야데 난델 유스 내가 가나 얘는 저 건도 얘는 나 유스.
나랑 저 끊어 두지 첨부 내림에 번 주세야 돼. 다 내와다 링와던데 계좌 매스만들도.
So that makes sense because we always talk about the compassion that has no distance. It's short and long everywhere.
I have a question for Geshe, and that is the four truths, what we call sometimes the Four Noble Truths. Is that included in the 12 deeds? Is that discussed as number 11 when the Buddha began to teach and spent 50 years or so teaching and the first turning of the wheel of Dharma was the Four Noble Truths or the Four Truths?
The Demba Jora, Demba Jete, and Sonjin Zapa Chunin on the 2 years, and Zapa Chuji on the Chunin Kolokoya Dinola, this song that did in the 2 years.
Tagaran tuji che tandang around to Chunko ko and Zepa say at Dinanola Chunko Rimba Song over what just che. Chunko Rimba Song ko at Dinano Tambotella, Varnasilla, Dengi Chunko say de ko. Dinanola Kong Somba Nagi, Demba get the Sombarwa, and the Demba get the Sonja Sambane Chetang around to Demba get Sonyade. Tangang around to Jetson Kapig and then Zepa Quinley Songan and Zepa Choin Siade. And then when it's turning around on Zepa Nani, that it's on Zepa the Demba get Sonyade. And it is song jenning around to the Hindu che, around to the Jean Jenny Rimbe. Chota chigi jeneng around to Jul Kanget Samama say at the Tendition Roget Tanguin is ready.
Yes, you're correct. That is a part of 12 deeds, and it's in the 11th deed. And in fact, the first teaching was Four Noble Truths. So it is the part of the training the wheel of Dharma. And Jetsongapa, therefore, he said, that is the one of the most important of the 12 deeds is training the wheel of Dharma.
And the Tini Chetan Ganzo Chunko Kovin Zepasia, Tinamola, Hamachi Karioresena, Tanda Konangi, Dembaki Kolo Sombarwata, Titanganzo, teaching the Temegi Chepa Meba, Chasana Kora, Lani Leke Goyagite, Dembaki Kolo Chunko Sumatiche, and a Papa la Karasong Baresena, and Shago Pumbura, Heking and Dosun Adite, but Heking and Dosun Ade, Tepa Chimbo Jamban Jamtila, Doja, Wombo Nobo Jamjantila Sonjo Chiche. And it Tepa Chimbukun daughter, so they Teme to so yina, Sanjig Tepa Chimbun Dose, and the Sun Yomares, and the Shishung around or Tepa Chimbuk and the Givihin to so good. Sanjig Tepa Chimbukun Do Son Yores, Druji, repeat Duguet, and then Nesu has.
So the Four Noble Truth was the teaching he taught. That was for in both Mahayana and what's the other one called? I don't want to go Hinayana, but what's the other term?
The Theravada.
Theravada. And then other teaching after that, the teaching of the Shiramyupo. What's it called? Shiramyupo. And one in that was for particularly it is not accepted in the Theravada. It's only the Mahayana belief. The emptiness, the teaching of emptiness. I don't know the term in English. In Jagu Pumpuje.
Teaching of emptiness, yes.
Yeah. So that actually the scholars in Mahayana had to argue, had to prove that Buddha had taught that, because Theravada didn't agree initially that Buddha actually taught that.
Teme namge tedu ken le mutuya zo ndo ji yang shagu pumbu rela sonjo ke tawa ji yorwa tawa toni singe ji yorwa te teme namge ken le tugu mo do wa konso ke tela koa de le tugu mo do wa le hing mo do wa koran zo ke tawa de kansa granja to be je ju tong we tawa sin tende ndo ji ma to nga zo tin jung yi bi jun sen to she ne yu koran zo ngwen de cho ma yin ba nga zo na to pa je gen do nda wo yin ba te temenan게 로유로 형금도 대인바 송장 코란조 산지게 송 간데지나 참마 세마 켄렌데 와체 덴데 임바 송 코란조 따와디 켄렌 마토와 임바 송장 다 산지게 송데 용다지네 송 메바 임바 송자 코란조 산지게 송 아이나 삼사테 덴데지네 차되어서레스.
So Theravada was hesitated, didn't believe it because Buddha didn't teach. Buddha only taught to a specific group of audience, and also they talk about emptiness, which was not understood well in Theravada. Therefore, they didn't believe that Buddha actually taught that.
Tenene nganaso 정고는 뭐 저기 추계 주요를 접수치 템버 전생다 강사 근생슬라네 강사 참마라 쉬운 거 찾는 송야 연주 삼지 그 송직 양 강사 수수수수 그 왕보르다 림바 왕보야 노보 차운데 코란라 무스카네야 두서 송야지 근데 내가 니스 연구해서레스.
So as His Holiness Dharma often identify the Buddha's teaching, there are two ways of teaching. One is for universal teaching, and other one is for individual teaching. And individual teaching is taught based on the state of individual mental state. So something that may not be understood by everybody, and then others might, so it's like so.
Tinane changaranzo tangi Jampa de Drikung Sanga Gorji Yorwa, Sanga Doji Tepe, Godete, Naza Gwensen Janja Mato Chig, Shumula Yonda Chen, the Song Yavaina, Pento Manjo Chita, Chile, Chichena Co, Carsel, Kangan of the Junior, the Yanga Injoja in Sares, Loyal Machine, called to legend, Samota Machine.
So Tantrayana, sorry, the Vajrayana wasn't taught universally because it could not be taught universally. These are based on individual practice. So because of that, it was also not taught universally.
어느 중고 타마데 타마를 양바지도 레퍼 넘버시 중고서는 중고 타마데 꼬버레 다 중고 림바 송 꼬야 돼 강사 도시야 메다마소는 왕부 담부디지 왕부 고히즈지 되네야 왕부 노롱아체 되네야 타마데라 다 상샤 첨부 여대 가도 되와라 아니 도시는 중고 타마데 꼬네 중고 림바 송데 도시 왕부 림바라 되네 도시는 권조 인사레스.
So the total of teaching was done through three levels, three will of Dharma. The first one is the Four Noble Truth, and then emptiness, and third one, and so on. So those teachings are done. First was more like introductory, everybody could understand. And then the next one is a little more in depth. And then everybody may not understand, but some people can understand. And third one's even more sort of complex. And that and everybody wouldn't understand.
Advanced, okay.
Awesome.
Is it known, may I ask, is it known at what point Shakyamuni Buddha gave the teaching on the Prajnaparamita, the Heart Sutra in particular?
Yeah, when? Did you say when?
Yeah, at what point in his teaching time? He was teaching for 50 years or so. Is it known at what point he might have taught that?
Okay, so the deal with that Sonji ke long up just la chuju kolo ko you're saying those the noni tanda shirin po sunju noyate karsu noyate duzu kadu jel noyana se ta long up noni lo kongo lo katsu katsala noyana se
nge ngono de chichi ni la hingme ngarancho sanje cha ne ane tambo de la dengi chungko de ko cha je la ane dos jene teaching dos songjo iba se bore has kore gono kacho je peyo de du karase bore de so chichi ni ngaso du chi de so se bore ni za ni hingme gondas.
So I don't know exactly the time period of what age he was and so on, but it was done after some time after he taught the Four Noble Truth.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone else have any questions or comments for Geshe La?
I think this hand up.
Who has a hand up?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
William, yes.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, please.
We've been here for 40,000 years, two-legged, what do they call it, bipeds, and we're developing the understanding of our society and of ourselves. And I'm just wondering, when the Buddha became enlightened, was his enlightenment the same as what our enlightenment would be?
So I didn't understand some beginning part. So you're saying, basically you're saying Buddha's enlightenment is the same as our enlightenment.
Is it the same as what our enlightenment would be?
Okay. That sonji joro. This sonji da tanganzo me papa jo nimachi sonji wanike sonji ya the jibalwes.
Sanje tambu mi peparang res ngarancho ngemani kurang machi ngarancho nani ma dus peonjo so la uchi ta thoma me pane chi sanje indunjo tende zawani ne mares sanje ngarancho mi peparang karase bora tambu sanje ina ya kurang ngema ina ngarancho chi thana dundo inche jewa le nyungdenge ane me jewa le nyungdenge tende gi rimbi kasola ane shangchu ge sem se de je jene ane dus jene la lab jene san jin jo res khona san je ba na gi nganso la ya charang chu ge langa dende chi le ba ina san je dende du thatu ge dewan dende thoya ndu se na nganso la lang twen te khora lang le phe ba na gi nganso la lang twen te ma che ba song nganso ya san je ba ina san je na shi san je da chi ba chi chang res.
So it will be exactly the same. Buddha wasn't always enlightened. He was like anybody else. He was born as animals as well as human beings many times, and then eventually he, cultivated compassion, and that's how he moved on steps to become enlightened. So, and then he showed us the different steps of the path to follow him, and we do that, and we become enlightenment. Will be the same enlightenment. There won't be no difference.
Ting anzo ta pena sanje doje den karasera nensho doje den shangshu hinrung to sanje bare deso sama chi ba ingu gores na ingore samsa den jeng mendos kanda zo nanglo ku nyomu torya nyomu tor chene hehi tobi go ne ana thamji chen den ge heya yende lo de je se ne chi ramda gen ge don chasan chen den ge nilu chasan chen den ge. So I
don't know whether we all be enlightened in Bodh Gaya and one tree, but to become enlightened, once we become enlightened, we'll be saying where we sort of remove all those obstacles, the defilements, mental defilements, and we then ultimately achieve the wisdom. That knowledge of everything, And so that's same as what Buddha has achieved.
nganzo pepa gi yongda la ngunzi chia cheba ina jeju mala re pa sechi luji la samje yo pa tende ngunzi chi yo res te ya samje tang de ngunzi che te nganzo ge nang ge dawo nyumu to be thoni ngunzi che tang de chi pare ma to ya shigin ze ba de so yang da ja tyong ba da mala re pa nin ze ba lo ha yin ba de nganzo ge thon che res.
So in Tibet, we consider Milarepa was obtained enlightenment within one lifetime. So it's the same. The way he did was to defeat the inner enemies and achieve the wisdom. And that is same as what Buddha has did. It's physical. The way how they achieved are different. He didn't necessarily follow 12 deeds of Buddha and anything like that. So physical, but inside, they achieve what they achieved is same.
ane te ti khyo cho wa che tanda ngaran cho che tam milar re pa sang je ya de ngaran cho me phe par rang ko su so ngone thane ke kawa che me chen che ne tus che ne sang je ba ta sang je ke ngaran so sang je ya de ngan chon je ba yin ka ta me phe pa tus che ne don jo ime te ta ngan cho song so ma the wa ni yung go res.
But the difference is what we can tell is for sure is for Milarepa, he became enlightened within one lifetime. He was like anybody, like us, the average person who become enlightened within one life. But the Buddha was already enlightened, or he became enlightened within one life. That we can be sure.
Thank you. Michael has his hand up for a question.
Yes, thank you. I really like how the 12th deed is how a death can be a deed, how we can learn from death, and how that is a marker on that sort of circle. So this is kind of an exploratory question. Whatever spirit means, and if such things as places exist, how would I answer the question, where is the spirit of the Buddha now? Is the spirit of the Buddha, or is the Buddha in Dharmakaya? Is it in our heart minds? Is it in all space? Or is it not in any of those?
This is Sonji can Zapa Junior no Nyangil de Pat and Zapa no Java de Po Gapuchons, the Nechiton. Da in your Chiton that Chiton and Choyuk Tavana Shurina, da mentioned the Tenet Tonsa do the Namchi no Chitanichi Yori Tamaris, then the Sonji no Jina, that Sonji Namchi to young in Jil Yorwe, Yoman and Anzu Semnon Yorwe, they can do Chigris.
No laso kadiche cheta sanji ge nam he de kawa yore sen khori ge dos so ya de tawati ya de la nge che pa na sanji ge nam he de sanji khurang gu jula yore es nge che na sanji daja tomba khaja tu ba khurang ge nam he de daja tomba khaja tu ba khurang gu jula ta tanda kawa yu me ngam cho chune la khing mare ina ya sanji 투지 때라 내리 매바 임바 손당 가와 이나 내리 말다 잘려 되반다고 요레스 남키 때 상지 코랑 거 줄라 요레스와 안에 제당 군양엘은 되든 제바든 세야데 시당 가랑조 상지라 단다디 요르와 제와다 가와다 나와다 치와스는 가랑조로 동에든데 망고지 요르와 상지라 때 동에데 자원이니 요르스나 동에데 요 말에 마또 동에 대소 요 대바이나 등한조 상지에세야다보다 아니 간조 타투그 대와세야 된지지 아니 용시가 말레스 동에 대한 가로서 돈로야데 주 자마스네 제부 자마 차와나기 전에 주 녀문데 자마스에 차위 신체라 아니 제부 동에데 용시야 요 말 때메바 손자 삼지그 주 녀문데 자마스 차위 전세 전에 아니 제부 동에데 메바데 간조다 롱다 리빠다 가르도네 헤투그레스 대지체 and namhi de yorisana tuji che namhi de yobate sebo sejan res ina tisan chiri pe namhi he thugmodus te he mutu nga ha nge samsu che baina chiri pe ta che man che wa chuchi na lo ta ju chi do Chuche nalo na namhe se de zume imba sonza chuche nalo tonto ya keyo mares. Namhe se de ngaranzo dos samno tam che ne sem nalo la dos lojon che na namhe se ya yobate rachya yobate teneres.
So there is such a thing as a spirit. That did you use term spirit, right?
Yeah.
There
Yes.
is such a thing because and that's for sure. And today the scientists trying to find it, but there's no way the scientists can find it because such a spirit is not a physical thing, and therefore you can be detected by machines. But Buddha's spirit is with himself. And I don't know where, I can't point where he is, but there's no concept of distance and enlightenment. So it could be with us, but you can't point it a place or somewhere that you can say Buddha's there. And other one is when the difference is death from us. When Buddha dies, Buddha doesn't experience any sicknesses or pain. The source of pain is the three poisons, and once you remove those, there's no sense of suffering. There's no source of suffering. You are free from suffering. So the death has no any suffering.
Tana nge anju chi hyo chwa chirwa kongi namhi kol tigidwa namhi singe de zoom enjo che ngarang chu sem che ta rimbe ende nganso sanu tande na cha chwe enjo chi ta namhi se de ngarang chu jewa ngamane de ni yun de ni siman roya de ngarang chu me chen ro de zambane namhi de me gu zupo de ne matu nge cha che ne namhi de pan ro che ne ya zupo genda je cho che ne do sun roya de ta nganso
So through the mental work or through the philosophically, you can prove there is a spirit, and we all have spirit. That spirit travel, that passes from life to life. When body dies, the spirit can't survive in the body, and then it moves on to another life.
Jewa ngamata chima ane namhi se to so de ne jaga ge kheba padin choda se to so gane chimi ge dona no se bo hibo son yores te ya son ya de sanje ge sonjo re chi ge sonjo re sen de mai ba ji korang ge duji ge ripa ta ane tus chine ta ji hi thabo chine ta ji ge junje do tus chine ne pe da chine tu se bo son yores.
So one of the Indian master, Buddhist master, Padin Chuda, sorry, I don't know the Sanskrit word for that, Padin Chuda, he has written and proved the existence of the spirit through logically.
Elaborate on that name. What was that name again, please?
Padin Chuda. Padin Chuda. Let me see if I can come out here. Padin Chuda.
Sounds like a Tibetan name.
It's a Tibetan name. But translate. All the Indian masters' names are translated into Tibetan. So I don't know what the Padin Chuda.
Jag ke karlage hakumas.
Padin Chuda. Chingwe bala.
Chingwe gonda.
Padin Chuda.
Open chonanta padin choda rwa nganso. Sanskrit ton karason ta hena just.
Tate. Chuda kada ta takas right?
Re.
Chuda. Oh, okay. It's a Dharma Kirti.
Oh, Dharma Kirti.
Yeah, Dharma Kirti.
Ah, okay.
Dharma Kirti
ke tanda sema ke lewu nimpa se ate no la nganjo karason yore sena tanda di Duje tuje konle te se du zambane. Daja Jampa Haja Tuba singing the San Jeba race, San Jeba the Duje Zo the Karisana, Zawa Tuji Chimbo, Komba Latine, Tus Jene, and a Rimbe into Rani Lambda Lab Jene, San Jeba race, Lamitus Songorwa. And a Tilla and a Tidicos of the Jaga Kepa de Soki, Zawa Tuji Chimbo Seva de Jawangashi Tomala Tus, Communitus, Lenjo Resia, the Combayana, Jen Lenjo Resia. Yumakora Yomara, Jawangashi said the Chun Yomare Selane, the Jawa Kebangashi Keba Tesu Nesungudua. Jawangamashima Yomares, Naranso Namhi Yoris and a Yore, Lu Yoris and a Yore, Luta Namhi Nito Zipatan Zipala Triganjuk, Remota, make Zupotan Zubok Tenana, Chile Chitin, Zubo Meva Chasasona Nahi, Samen Drogeramato, Nahi Shiman Rosia, the Chun Yomares and Jagagi Keba Teso, the Nesun de Zambane. And Padin Chodak, Namhesia, the Zubola tendant to Maimba, Namhesia, the Jawangama, the Shimani Mandrone, Zubo, and Jolingo Pateta, Ripa Gone, he was able to do your rest.
So during that time, non-Buddhists in India, they were arguing, they believed there's a spirit, but they didn't believe reincarnation. They believed the spirit and body interdependent, and when one's gone, the other is gone. So Dharmakirti, he argued that he logically proved that there are a spirit that travels, from and he gave examples of Buddha. And for many lifetimes, Buddha has cultivated bodhicitta, and that because of that, he became enlightened. So through specific examples and logic, Dharmakirti wrote the reasons there are not only spirit, but spirits also reborn.
Pensa Saboti Naranso, Tanda Naranso, Shutona, Tonaji, Karade, Sena. Mahidumendo de Naranso, Zotua Mundo, Atanda, Sinipainanda, Karemato, Karachena, Mahidum member Zoya, your Mari, Giju member Zoya, your Mari. Titus down the Tangansochi, Nemanda, so the teach the theory, this Sohachi Duade, in a turn to Suboko, Yaji, on the Maji, Gundo at the Sotam, Tetanama to stay on the Saman Zupok and Nanote, Chimota Trishan, the winner, he was Zone Yamachi, Teju or member Karma to Karchena, and around to Hiju map, Zoju map, and Digi. Namhesia the Namane, Zubundala, near to searching Nami Lechi, and it in any catego at him, but that so the day remains in a hip, Tavana, Sebo Hingares.
And it's clear just observing in how our body is. Our body in the modern world, people trying to make, to prevent aging and preventing death. And there's no such thing. You might be able to remove the wrinkles, but you stay aging. And this shows that there is a spirit and there has a karma, how many years it could live. And that the karma doesn't allow the spirit to be in a body for as long as it wants. Therefore, just looking at that, if it's like only physical, like machines or like a car, you can fix it and can replace parts and it will continue. But human body, the bodies are not like that. Biological bodies, they die. It's because the spirit has limitations of time.
Well, very good. Thank you. That sounds like that would be a topic for another teaching. We could talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Geshe La in particular. Thank you very, very much for bringing us these teachings. Thank Dorje for introducing us to his blood brother, Geshe La. And thank you to Tenzin for coming in and being here to help give us the translation today. We appreciate that because we know Dorje's not feeling well. And thanks to everybody for being here and partaking in this, and I hope that you got something out of it that we can talk about in weeks to come in our subsequent Buddhism 101 talks. And we can invite Geshe back for another time. If we have some topic like we were just discussing, the question of spirit and so on, would be very interesting to have more conversation, more teaching on this. So if anybody would like to make offerings, you can get in touch with me, and we can be sure that the offerings go to Geshe in Surya Monastery in India. So thank you all very much. I'd like to do our dedication prayers. So we'll do the short karma prayer. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. Daktang korde tam shegi du sam du sa padang yo pege we sawadi dagden sem chen tam she nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe shang ju bren po she to pa jor chi. Thank you. I apologize for my bad Tibetan.
Your Tibet is good.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, lads.
Thank you.
Thank you, support team.
Yeah,
It's very nice to meet your brother, Dorje.
Thank you, thank you.
Geshe, Geshe.
토치나 라소 같은 책.
라소 6분 집에 레와요.
라소 책이 하나야 뭐 된지. 그렇지.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was very, very, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the delay.
That's it. Thank you.
I don't want to have to do that every.
All right, I'm going to close the meeting then. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Wear your mask.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.